Welcome to Innovation Pulse, your quick, no-nonsense update on the latest in clean tech and EVs. First, we will cover the latest news. By 2028, half of China's heavy truck sales could be electric. Uber introduces cost-effective route-share rides. Innovators use freight rail for transporting renewable energy. After this, we'll dive deep into understanding electric vehicle charging and range complexities, helping you set realistic expectations and appreciate the rapid advancements in EV technology. By 2028, half of China's heavy truck sales could be electric, up from 10% in 2024, said CATL's chairman, Zheng Yukun, during a battery swapping event. This shift indicates a continued decline in fuel demand for trucks, which is already impacted by the rise of LNG trucks. CATL recently began production at a 60 gigawatt-hour energy storage and EV battery base in Shandong, its first in northern China. Additional phases of this project will roll out over the next 2 years, creating a significant battery industry hub in the region. Shandong plans to develop a lithium battery industry worth 100 billion yuan by this year, covering all aspects from electrode materials to assembly. This development highlights China's push towards electric vehicles and sustainable energy solutions in the transportation sector. Join us as we explore the evolution of urban mobility. Uber has introduced Route Share, a new feature offering rides along fixed routes, with pickups every 20 minutes at up to half the cost of UberX. This service aims to complement public transit, providing a cheaper alternative during weekday commuting hours in select cities like New York and San Francisco. Riders must walk to designated pickup spots, resembling public transport. As part of its affordability push, Uber also launched a price lock feature for frequent trips at a monthly fee and prepaid passes for additional discounts. Additionally, Uber Eats now integrates with OpenTable for easier restaurant bookings and offers a slider to find cheaper grocery options. These updates are designed to offer cost-effective solutions amid rising living expenses, targeting everyday commuters such as shift workers and professionals. Innovators in the US are creatively using the freight rail system to transport renewable energy, like wind and solar power, across the country, addressing grid bottlenecks. Thanks to advances in battery technology, large-scale lithium-ion batteries are now safer and more efficient, making it feasible to haul energy by train. The startup SunTrain proposes using freight cars as mobile peaker plants, charging them at optimal times and discharging where needed. Another company, Voltify, is developing a network of solar-powered microgrids along rail routes to power battery locomotives, aiming to replace diesel with renewable energy. This approach includes dynamic charging to keep trains fueled while on the move. Voltify also explores alternative battery technologies like sodium-ion and solid-state batteries to enhance efficiency and safety. These efforts highlight a shift towards integrating renewable energy within existing infrastructure to meet growing energy demands. And now, pivot our discussion towards the main clean tech topic.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Innovation Pulse. I'm Donna, and as always, I'm joined by my brilliant co-host who's ready to drop some serious EV knowledge on us today.
That's right. I'm Yakov Lasker, and today we're diving into what might be the most misunderstood aspect of electric vehicle ownership: charging and range. There's so much confusion out there.
Oh man, you're not kidding! Every time I mention I'm thinking about getting an EV, someone hits me with the "but what about charging?" question. It's like the ultimate conversation stopper.
Exactly. And what drives me crazy is how people throw around these definitive statements like, this car charges from 10% to 80% in exactly 18 minutes. It's never that simple.
So let's break this down for our listeners. Why can't we just say how long it takes to charge an EV?
It's all about variables, Donna. Think about it like this. When someone asks how long it takes to fill a swimming pool, you can't answer without knowing the size of the pool, the water pressure, the hose diameter.
Makes total sense. So, what are the main variables for EV charging?
There are 5 big ones. First, battery size matters. Larger batteries can take in more electrons at once, which means adding enough charge for an extra 100 miles happens faster in a car with a bigger battery.
Interesting. I wouldn't have thought of it that way. What else?
State of charge is huge. Batteries charge much faster when they're nearly empty than when they're almost full. It's like pouring water into a glass. It slows down as you reach the top to avoid spilling.
That explains why people always talk about charging from 10% to 80% instead of percent to 100%. What's the third factor?
Temperature. Cold or hot batteries charge slower than batteries at their optimal temperature. Tesla's particularly good at managing this. When you select a supercharger on the navigation, the car actually starts preparing the battery by warming it up or cooling it down before you arrive.
That's seriously smart engineering. Okay, so we've got battery size, state of charge, and temperature. What else?
The Battery Management System, or BMS, which is basically the brain controlling how fast charging happens. Every manufacturer programs theirs differently. Tesla starts slowing down, charging at around 20% state of charge, while Audi lets some models charge at full power all the way to 60% before tapering.
Whoa, that's a big difference. And the final factor?
Available charging power. Early EVs charged at around 50 kilowatts, which seemed impressive at the time. Now we've got chargers pushing 350 kilowatts, though most public fast chargers today deliver about 175 to 200 kilowatts.
So when a manufacturer advertises 250 kilowatt charging, that's more of a theoretical maximum?
Exactly. A Tesla V3 supercharger is rated for 250 kilowatts, but since the car starts reducing charging speed at about 20% state of charge, you'll rarely see that full power sustained.
All right, so that clears up charging speed. But range is equally misunderstood, right?
Oh, absolutely. When a car company says 300 miles of range, there are huge asterisks attached to that number.
Break it down for us.
That advertised range assumes you're starting with 100% charge and driving until the battery is completely empty, which no sane person would ever do. It's like saying your gas car can drive 400 miles, but only if you drain every last drop of fuel.
Right, and nobody drives around with their fuel light on for fun.
Precisely. Most EV owners regularly charge to about 80% rather than 100%, particularly with certain battery chemistries. And nobody's deliberately running their battery down to zero. That would just mean getting stranded.
So that 300-mile advertised range is really more like, what? 240 miles of usable range?
That's a fair estimate. But then you have to factor in all the other variables that affect range.
Like what?
Temperature is a big one again. Cold batteries don't perform as efficiently. Plus, using climate control, whether it's heating or cooling, consumes battery power that would otherwise go toward driving distance.
I've heard heating is particularly energy intensive.
It absolutely is, especially if the car uses old-school resistance heating. If you live somewhere cold and you're EV shopping, make sure to get one with a heat pump. They're much more efficient.
Good tip. What else affects range?
Speed is probably the biggest factor people underestimate. The energy needed to push through air quadruples when you double your speed. So driving 80 mph instead of 40 mph requires 4 times the energy.
Wait, 4 times? Not just double?
4 times! It's physics. Aerodynamic drag increases with the square of velocity. So those drivers cruising at 85 mph on the highway are absolutely demolishing their range.
I had no idea it was that dramatic. Anything else?
Different driving habits, road conditions, even how much cargo you're carrying. It all matters. And then there's the type of battery chemistry. Most EVs today use either NMC, nickel manganese, cobalt, or LFP, lithium iron phosphate, batteries.
And they perform differently?
Yes. With NMC batteries, regularly charging to 100% can accelerate degradation over time. But LFP batteries seem to handle full charges much better. This is all based on current knowledge, though. Battery tech is evolving incredibly fast.
Speaking of evolving tech, what's on the horizon that might address these charging challenges?
There's some exciting stuff happening, especially in China. BYD recently announced batteries they claim can be partially recharged in just 5 minutes. KTL isn't far behind.
That would be game-changing. 5-minute charging would basically eliminate the advantage of gas cars for road trips.
Absolutely, and here's something many new EV owners don't take advantage of: preconditioning.
What's that?
Most EVs let you set the cabin temperature and battery temperature while the car is still plugged in. That way, heating or cooling comes from the wall outlet rather than the battery, which means more range when you start driving.
Oh, that's smart. I'm guessing a lot of this stuff isn't explained well to new owners.
That's one of the biggest issues. Manufacturers don't do a great job educating buyers about how EVs differ from conventional cars. There's definitely a learning curve.
Do you think that's improving as EVs become more mainstream?
Slowly. But the interesting thing is that current EV owners are overwhelmingly satisfied with their vehicles, despite these differences. They love the instant torque, the quiet ride, the convenience of home charging, and features like one-pedal driving.
Which brings up a good point. We've spent this whole conversation talking about the challenges of EVs, but there are plenty of advantages too.
Absolutely. Never having to visit a gas station again is pretty sweet. And the driving experience is just different, in a good way. The instant acceleration, the quiet cabin, the smoothness. It's something you have to experience to fully appreciate.
So what's your takeaway for listeners who might be on the fence about making the switch?
I'd say do your homework, but don't get paralyzed by the technical details. EVs aren't perfect for every single driver or use case yet, but they're already great for most people's daily driving patterns. And with battery technology advancing so rapidly, today's limitations are tomorrow's solved problems.
That's a good perspective. And I think understanding the real factors behind charging and range helps set realistic expectations.
Exactly, knowledge is power, or in this case, kilowatts.
I see what you did there. Well, on that electrifying note, we'll wrap up today's episode of Innovation Pulse. Thanks for joining us, everyone.
And remember, the EV revolution is just getting started. The technologies we'll be driving in 2030 probably haven't even been invented yet. It's an exciting time to be paying attention to this space.
Couldn't agree more. Until next time, keep your finger on the innovation pulse.
Yakov Lasker signing off. See you next time. And that wraps up today's podcast, where we explored how electric vehicles are transforming transportation in China and the US with innovations in battery technology, alongside practical tips for EV ownership focused on charging and range expectations. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this episode with your friends and colleagues so they can also stay updated on the latest news and gain powerful insights. Stay tuned for more updates.